Good morning and welcome to Rolf Hitzer Behind the For Sale Sign. I'm super excited this morning because I have Kevin McIntyre joining me this morning for an episode and an interview. And welcome, Kevin.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for being had. We're in St. Vital Park, and as you can see behind Kevin and myself, it's absolutely gorgeous for a late October morning.
Yeah, after more.
Yeah. So, Kevin, you work at Investors Group.
I do.
How long you been there?
10 years as of this week.
Wow, and you're like a big deal there, aren't you?
People say that, yeah.
Oh, come on. This is the time to just lay it out there. Yeah.
I'm a division manager, so I have my own practice, and I also hire and train new advisors as well. So, yeah.
And so when you train, is it for under your team, or is that for just Investors Group as part of your responsibilities and management for them?
Yes, so they're their own individual practices, so it's for IG. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How did you get there? Let me rephrase my question.
Yeah.
Before Investors Group, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Who was Kevin McIntyre?
So I graduated from University of Winnipeg with a politics and psychology degree, and I planned on following in my dad's footsteps and becoming a psychologist. But I took a year off after I graduated to make some money. So I started working at Great West Life behind the scenes in insurance. And I did that for 3 years. And then I was like, oh, money is fun. And I enjoy this field. So never ended up going back. The way I got to IG is sad, but I mean, good, I guess. My mom passed away.
Okay.
And so I got an inheritance from her. And I was thinking about going to the Mercedes dealership and buying a car. And instead, my friend recommended that I go talk to someone and do something smart with the money. And while I was having that conversation, I realized, hey, I could do this. This sounds really fun. So I didn't invest the money with them. I got hired by them instead. And the rest is history.
Wow. I didn't know you're an orphan.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I am too.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you know, nobody knows what that feels like until you lose both your parents. And and I had the distinct pleasure actually to be at your father's funeral.
Yes, I appreciate that.
And just the things I didn't know.
Mm. And
so what you've just said really ties into what I didn't know about your father when I was there. So, so McIntyre, of course, that's Scottish. You're part of a Scottish clan.
Wow, Irish.
Oh no, is McDonald's Irish?
Probably. There's no MA. If it's MC, then it is usually Irish.
Okay, so MC.
Irish, very Irish.
Oh, okay.
You insulted me. Okay.
Did I insult you?
No, I'm kidding.
I was trying to.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you're Irish. I just, for those of you that are watching this, Kevin and I have a little tiny wee bit of history. And, our smack can be legendary at times. I want to share a story about you.
Okay.
That,
now I'm nervous.
No, don't be nervous because it's a really touching story for me personally.
Okay.
Kevin and I got to know each other through a mutual friend, and we love playing cards as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I admire about Kevin is his skill at a card table. It's quite good. So this is, I think, pre-COVID, where you called me up and said, hey, feel like going to Tournament Club Regent, and it was for charity. We both went, and just before the tournament started, we agreed to kind of, hey, if any of us money in the tournament, let's share it between the two of us.
For sure, yeah.
And I think I made it down to, there's either 2 or 3 tables left in the tournament, and so I got knocked out actually by Joe Poplowski.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Former Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
Yeah.
And also Winnipegger, and he's born and raised from Edmonton, because I know a guy that he went to high school with, so that's how I know he's from Edmonton. Anyways, I go and find you, and you've got an okay size stack.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of, hey, Kevin, I'm leaving now. And as I'm walking through the casino, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way. Like, there's some big stacks on your table, and oh well, you're gonna have fun. You texted me the next morning to say, hey, I think it was $1,700 richer.
Yeah.
And I thought you were pulling my leg.
Yeah.
I thought you're full of shit.
I usually am.
Yeah. So I thought you were just pulling a Kevin prank. And lo and behold, it was real. And it was that moment where I would have never known. And as I'm getting to know you as a person, for me on a personal level, it's like, oh my God, like you're a man of your word. And so that's one of the things I admire about you. And I don't care what the rest of the guys say, but what was your worst job ever?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Worst job ever. It's probably also my favorite and most fun job ever, but working at Pizza Hotline as a pizza cook. It was the pay was not good. The hours weren't great, but I worked with like 8 or 9 friends, so that would probably be my best and worst job ever, all at the same time.
So why was it the worst though?
I would say slinging pizzas for minimum wage is not the most fun.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes you're working till 12, 1, 2 a.m. because it's open late.
Yeah.
Those paychecks weren't my favorite, but on the flip side, working with all your buddies made it pretty entertaining for sure.
So did you work in the kitchen or?
Yeah, kitchen. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have I gotta know, like, do you ever get like a client, pizza customer that you had an interaction with that you'll never forget?
So we were always in the back, but I think my favorite interaction that I've ever had was when I was working at the Grand Beach Surf Club.
Okay.
And I was a cook there, and it was steak and potatoes night.
Yeah.
And this lady came back into the kitchen. Like, she just walked into the kitchen and said, I was a food critic for 30 years, and this is the worst potato I've ever had. And she threw it at me.
What?
Yeah, she actually hucked the potato at me. And then she told me it was raw and it had been cooked 1,000 times. And me, being the melty person that I am, I said, okay, well, which one is it? Because raw and 1,000 times cooked are completely different things.
Two different things, yeah.
She stormed out of there, and that was probably my favorite interaction of all time with somebody.
So is she a client of yours today?
She is not a client. She's not a client. But I do remember her name. I won't call her out, though, but I did Google her after.
Yeah, there's a moment like that you never forget.
Right.
Yeah.
It's burned in the memory.
So back to your profession and something that I've never asked you and I've always meant to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm about to try to grow my wealth as an individual, and of course, a lot of people are I call it couch investors on the internet, trying to grow their wealth that way, with little to no knowledge, in my opinion, not knowing anything, but that's how I perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
But to you, like, what is the biggest mistake people make when they come to you for future financial growth and stability, so that one day they can retire with comfort and financial security? What is the biggest mistake you see?
I'd say trying to time the market. There's an old adage that people say, it's not about time in the market, it's about time in the market.
Yeah.
So typically when you try to time the market, you're gonna miss one of two things. You're gonna either get out of the market when there's still some opportunity for it to go higher, or you're gonna kind of sell when it's at a low, and you're not gonna get back in time, or you're gonna miss some of those recovery. So I would say that's probably the biggest mistake. If you look at people who had money in 2008 and 2009 and lost a lot of money there.
Financial crisis. Yeah.
Totally. It went down 30%, 35%. People that got out and waited on the sideline until 2010, 2011, stuff like that, never really financially recovered from that. So if they were getting the right advice, they would know, okay, kind of towards the end of 2008 and early 2009, you should be buying more. You should be the old adage, buy low, sell high. So buying more and making sure that you come out of recovery even ahead of where you were before, instead of just where you were. So people that were getting the right advice would have done that and would have come out ahead, and people that weren't getting the right advice or weren't listening would have negatively impacted themselves for many, many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to share, in my line of work, being in real estate, self plug there.
Yeah, I like that.
But there's a saying that we have in real estate. When's the best time to buy and invest at the same time when you purchased real estate 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And when is the second best time to purchase real estate? Well, it's now,
Right now,
because 20 years from now,
it'll be 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm assuming in your line of work, sounds like it's almost comparable.
The same thing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Why do you like living in Winnipeg?
Why do I like living
Yeah.
in Winnipeg? Winnipeg, people ask me this sometimes. I legitimately love it.
Yeah.
I love everything about Winnipeg. The cost of living is low. Housing, I mean, as you know, it's
Yeah.
not that expensive compared to
Yeah.
big cities. I feel like we're big enough to be a big city so that we have an NHL team, but we're small enough that we still feel kind of like a small, tight-knit community.
Yeah.
I love how easy it is to travel from here as well.
Yeah.
It's a hub. Our cost of living is low. You can afford to travel, and you can kind of get anywhere in the country or anywhere in the continent basically in 5 or 6 hours. So,
Yeah.
and just the people. I feel like we are actually friendly Manitoba, despite what you might see on social media sometimes.
Yeah.
I genuinely love this place. Yeah,
So you really feel we are friendly?
I do.
Wow.
Even people like you.
I like your passion.
Oh, last thing, the restaurants. I think our restaurants, as you would know, plug for Deer and Almond.
Are you saying I eat too much?
No, I think you got a son that's pretty involved in the game.
Yeah.
The restaurants are incredible too. Like you go to other cities, and you don't see this amount of diverse food and kind of unbelievable restaurants for how small we are.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but I think, and I've heard over many years, that Winnipeg has always been a testing ground for new menu items for the big chain restaurants.
Gotcha, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, that may not be today, but once upon a time it was. Like McDonald's, the McRiblet.
McRib, yeah. Delicious.
McRiblet, would that be Scottish or Irish?
They can have that one. They can be Scottish.
Okay. So on that vein, and what's your favorite restaurant? When you're taking your wife out for dinner or your family, like taking the kids, I know they're young right now, but where do you go?
Well, so the kids, my daughter is obsessed with Boston pizza.
Okay.
So not maybe the best quality food, but it's a good menu.
Yeah.
For me, I love the Keg.
Yeah.
The Keg to me, and people are going to take this the wrong way, the Keg is the McDonald's of steakhouses to me.
Yeah.
In that it's consistent, you get the same thing every time, and it's good quality stuff, and you can kind of rely on it. You typically don't have a bad meal there. And then for a kind of smaller place, Saucers on Academy.
Who?
Saucers.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's on Academy, right after the bridge, or right before the bridge, depending on how you're going. The curry there is like the greatest thing that I've ever had.
Wow.
To the point where I walk in there and they're like, curry with shrimp, no cilantro, and I'm like, yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it there.
Okay.
It's a cute little place.
Yeah. Yeah, I never heard of it, I'll be honest.
We'll have to go.
I'm ready.
Get in the car right now.
Are you related to Mike McIntyre?
Which one? My dad's name is Mike McIntyre, but not the Jets or the crime reporter. No.
Yeah, no,
Not related.
Not at all.
No.
Have you ever met him?
I don't know if he knows it, but him and I actually have beef with each other. Oh no! Actually,
can you tell that story?
I can tell that story.
Okay.
Wild story.
Mike McIntyre.
Maybe he'll get back to my email now after this.
All right.
So when I was in university, I was taking the bus with my sister to my dad's house in Tuxedo, and we were on Portage and Burnell, right by the Shoppers Drug Mart. And we were there, and a homeless man slammed another homeless man's head into the bus shelter, and he got really hurt.
Yeah.
And my sister and I stayed and called 911 and made sure everything was okay. And there was another guy there as well. And as the cops were showing up, we had to get on our bus. So I just said, I'll call the cops and give them a statement.
Yeah.
But they were there and on scene and taking care of them. And so later on, we had to testify against the guy that did it. And the guy that got his head slammed ended up recovering, and he's okay. But then fast forward a couple of years, I'm in a social psychology class, and my professor wrote the textbook. And in the textbook, there's an article from Mike McIntyre about bystander kind of awareness and bias, where if there's too many people in an area, you might not act because you think someone else will.
Yeah.
And so his article was about the event that I saw, saying that no one stayed and helped this guy. Everyone just left and let him lay there.
Okay.
But I literally had got subpoenaed and had to testify,
Yeah.
being a witness to it.
Yeah.
And so I told my professor, because she was friends with my dad, who was also a psych professor at the same university, that, hey, this isn't true and it's in your textbook. And she said she was going to remove it from the next edition, but I emailed Mike McIntyre about it. And
Didn't respond,
he ghosted me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not nice.
Yeah, and he's my dad's namesake, too. He's not living up to it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, name McIntyre, somehow, maybe you're part of a clan.
That's possible. We could be related far back.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll look for him on Ancestry.
So, your parents didn't immigrate here, did they?
They did, yes.
I didn't know that.
From the U.S., yeah.
Okay.
So my mom's from Boston, my dad's from California, and we met in Boston.
Yeah.
And then he did his doctorate at University of Minnesota, and then he got a job offer at U of W up here, so we moved up here. So there's first generation Canadian, yeah.
So there's your kind of love for Boston.
That's where it comes from.
Okay.
All my relatives are there.
Yeah. What would you say is your specialty? Like, what makes you special? And from a business perspective.
From a business perspective.
Yeah.
I would say empathy and caring, and actually wanting to see people's, not just their investments grow and have more money, but to see their entire financial future taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, nothing makes me happier than looking at someone's plan and being like, you're going to be able to retire earlier. You're going to be able to retire super, super comfortably and all that stuff. And
yeah.
You're going to be able to pass on money to your kids and to their kids and that kind of stuff. So I would say the care factor is I genuinely care about every one of my clients.
So how do you, because I'm going to say I'm a little skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And take 2008 as a good example of part of that skepticism or perception.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you, what you just said, how do you know that that's going to play out that way?
Yeah, so I'd say if you look at the market in a 10-year period, typically 8 or 9 of those years are positive, and you'll have one correction, maybe 2 corrections.
Yeah.
So if you just look at history all the way back, I use this chart called the Index chart. It's basically the big picture, and it goes back to the 1900s. The market is kind of always up and to the right. There'll be blips along the way.
Yeah.
Then that's when I earn my money by walking people through that and making sure they come out ahead. It's just the market always recovers. It might take 12 months, it might take 18 months.
Okay.
But just historically, over and over and over again, there's been blips. The Great Depression,
Yeah.
1987, tech bubble in the 2000s, 2008, 2009. Yep. And then what we just went through in 2022.
I was going to ask you, was COVID a blip?
So the 2020 COVID blip was very small. It was kind of March and April, and by May and June it was back again.
Okay.
2022 was a very down year in the markets, especially kind of U.S. tech and all those sectors as well.
Yeah.
So that was a blip, but we're in 2023. We're back up and we're chugging along.
So, and I'm a little perplexed by that statement. Why would 2022 have been a blip?
So that's basically the kind of consequences of COVID, and the big thing would have been inflation. So, they had all the kind of COVID stimulus that they put into the economy, kind of boosted up inflation a ton. So we had kind of 8 and 9% inflation heading into 2022. So it took a year or two for that to kind of really hit the market.
Yeah.
But that level of inflation really kind of threw everything off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you see that coming, or did nobody see that coming?
I would say most people did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I did have a couple clients talk to me about it.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was going to be a quick couple month thing. Ended up being a year and a half, still kind of going. We're almost out of it, but yeah. So it definitely took me by surprise by how high inflation was and how long it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, since I've known you, I don't recall being this serious with you together. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. We're gonna have to get our sillies out after.
Oh, I don't know if we can. It's like we went down the professional rabbit hole.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I'm coming from Boston to visit you. I've never been to Winnipeg in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's long overdue. I'm coming to see my cousin.
Yeah.
And where would you take me? If you only had one place to take me in all of Winnipeg or Manitoba, where are we going?
That's a great question. I would say just knock off a bunch of different things. Probably the Forks.
The Forks, yeah.
I think the Forks is pretty unique. I think we take it for granted of how cool it actually is, because we've obviously go there our whole lives. But I would go to the Forks for sure. The Manitoba Museum was a close second for me because I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest place. But yeah, I would probably go to the Forks.
I don't know if you're like this. Like, I'm guilty. We live here. I don't go anywhere unless somebody comes here.
Gotcha.
I don't go on like tomorrow, Saturday, and you know what? I haven't been to the museum for a while, or Fort White, or and I just don't go.
Yeah, I think if you asked me 5 years ago, I totally would agree. But having kids has made it so I have to give them those experiences. So it's actually helped me discover Winnipeg, which is nice, and seeing what they like and don't like. But
that's when I stopped, actually, when the kids got bored and old enough and bored of seeing some of the zoo and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think I've been to the zoo more in the last 2 years than I have my entire life.
Yeah,
because the kids love it, and we got zoo memberships quite inexpensive.
Yeah,
if you go one off, it's pretty pricey, but if you get the membership, it's pretty good.
Okay, I've never gone. I don't even know what it costs right now. Last time I went, I think it was almost free.
Yeah, fair. It is definitely not almost free anymore.
So your 3 most favorite movies? That's a hard one. I know it is.
Great question.
But if you only could watch, you're on death row, and they say you get to pick 3 movies before we electrocute you.
Okay.
What do you watch?
So it might not be my 3 most favorite, but if I'm on death row and I want to see them again, Happy Gilmore.
Sure. Classic. Yeah.
Every single line of that movie just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
The fancy movie person in me would say Amélie, which is a French movie that my grade 10 teacher introduced me to. And
Did not see you saying that at all.
That's right. I absolutely love that movie, though.
Yeah.
And the third one would be a toss-up between Donnie Darko, which is one of Jake Gyllenhaal's first movies, and Big.
Oh, Big, yeah. Big. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
More than Donnie Darko.
Yeah. Have you seen Donnie Darko?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. My sister and I watch that pretty much every Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great film. But Big is just a classic.
I didn't think you thought this through, because if I was asked, I don't know if it qualifies for a movie, but if I'm on death row, what's the longest running series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to watch all 10 years of Game of Thrones.
Nice. Yeah, that's a smart play. I like that. Godfather, maybe.
Yeah. Actually, that's,
That one's long, too.
Yeah. But Godfather, especially the first 2. The third one I saw it in the theater, but that really holds a special place. To this day, I'm fascinated with organized crime and stories of that, right? So, which is because of The Godfather.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to the Irish side of the organized crime, the Whitey Bulger stuff, but pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I know this is hard to answer. Crystal ball prediction. How do you see the stock market over the next 12 months, maybe 24 months? Like, what's your hazy look into the crystal ball? What is it telling you?
Yeah, I would say people would always accuse me of being a little too optimistic about it.
Okay.
But I typically am a believer in the markets. I would say as long as inflation stays in check, I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
I think U.S. tech will be a big driver, and AI will be a big driver in all that, which I'm a big believer in those big companies out there in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I think they'll drive the market a big chunk, and they've come down a little bit in the last couple of months. And I think Canada's got a lot of room to run up as well. So I think it's going to be a good 2024.
Hard to predict, and I know a year ago, a lot of the lenders said, "Oh, you wait a year, the rates are going to come down." They've actually did the opposite; they went up.
Mm-hmm.
And your thoughts on interest rates over the next 12 months and how that may impact your line of work, and obviously mine as well. But how do you see interest rates?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of expertise in that area, but I would say from what I've read and what I see, I think there'll be another increase this year. I think there'll be one more, probably Bank of Canada and the Fed.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to take their time lowering the rates. I don't see it coming down very much over the next year. And the reason for that would be, if there's a financial correction, the one way they can kind of stimulate the economy and stimulate the market is by cutting rates.
Yeah.
That way people can afford to borrow.
Yeah.
And so until something happens in the market, I don't think they're going to cut it because they're going to want to leave themselves that big runway.
Yeah.
So if I was running the Bank of Canada or the Fed, I would probably leave it pretty status quo until I really needed to stimulate the economy. So I think they'll probably stay pretty flat in 2024.
Okay. I tend to agree with you on that one too.
Yeah.
So you're sitting at a poker table.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness.
yeah. You're killing me. And I know you play with no fear, which is one of the things. That's why I like playing with you, by the way. So you play with no fear. But just what's your outtake? You're on your way to a game, and from arrival, in the moment, and leaving. What goes through you? Like what do you pull out of that and go, this is stuff I'm going to remember forever? What?
For sure.
Other than the game itself.
Yeah. So if it's going to one of your poker games, first of all, looking forward to talking to everyone because usually it's been a month or two since we've seen each other.
Yeah.
I think that's the favorite part of my game. It's more than the cards. It's hanging out with all you guys.
Yeah.
There's always a pretty delicious meal at 9 or 10 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
That I'm looking forward to. I call it second dinner.
Yeah.
So
me too.
That too. When I'm at the game, just making sure I take as much of your guys' money as possible. In the most efficient way.
Yeah, I don't like you, but keep going.
While still maintaining friendships with you guys.
Yeah.
And then after, I typically am pretty analytical, so I'll replay all the hands I didn't do well.
Yeah.
And try to learn from it and get better next time.
Yeah.
And especially if I got bluffed by somebody, because that really irritates me.
Doesn't it?
Pick up on it.
Yeah.
So I'll replay those. Typically, Ira and I will be talking on the way home too.
Yeah.
Analyzing hands. Yeah. I'll be telling him all the mistakes he made.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he makes many.
He makes many. Yeah. Being my friend is the first mistake he made.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'd feel differently.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, those are actual legitimate thoughts that anyone that cares about their craft when it comes to that game, and I think all of us, you've got a bit of a drive when you're playing at my place, but when you're laying in bed and going, should have done that, or
totally.
I saw that little twitch and I knew and knew you had a good hand, but why didn't I believe that with the little tell that you gave, right?
Totally,
yeah, which we all do to each other.
Sometimes the gambler overrides that tell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, on that note, I love our prop bets.
Oh, man, they're the best.
Yeah, they could. I got a feeling
when no one else knows about them, too.
Yeah,
sitting at the table laughing about it.
Yeah, one of the prop bets when you're not even there is on occasion I'll try to bet before or after of your arrival, because sometimes with the work or your family you can run late, and any questions you have
for you?
What's
your favorite prop bet that we've ever done?
Favorite prop bet? Oh man, we've had quite a few, so I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that one. I like the one, this is my favorite. Actually, I do know it, and it's we're both in a hockey draft, and I love because you have a team named after me. I have a team named after you, and I love the banter.
Yeah.
As you know, I keep trying to resist the rules of it.
Hey, we got them ironed out. We figured it out.
Oh yeah, but come end of the hockey season, I'll be again. If I lose, I'm going to be questioning it.
That's fair.
Will you accept a hug?
Yes, I will.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Yeah. Love it.
Me too.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you guys.